Heartwarming Heroine exposes racism, incredible moment when she becomes the boss of a kicking cop. On a chilly autumn evening in Brookfield, the cozy diner, the heart of Brookfield, buzzed with laughter and warmth. Patrons relished the aroma of fresh pies, and Maya Johnson, a resilient 28-year-old single mother, served her community with pride. A proud daughter of a World War II veteran, she poured love into every cup of coffee, pouring even more into her son Jamie's future. This evening felt like any other until Officer Rick Thompson stormed in, the mood shifting instantly. With a sharp finger, he pointed at Henry, a black man who had settled at the counter. "You! Get out! Causing trouble again." Gasps rippled through the diner as the air thickened with disbelief and dread. Regulars who had been sharing stories went silent, eyes flickering between Maya and the officer. Maya's heart raced. This wasn't just a man in uniform making an unfair accusation, it was an injustice shaking the very core of her beloved community. The diner was their refuge, their sanctuary, where camaraderie blossomed over fries and pie, not hostility. A tightness gripped her chest as a fierce tide of indignation surged. She wasn't going to let this stand. "Excuse me, officer," Maya spoke, her voice trembling but resolute. All eyes swung to her. Henry didn't do anything wrong. The room fell silent, the only sound the shuffling of feet and the clinking of spoons. Everyone was holding their breath. "Maya, stay out of this," Officer Thompson shot back, his voice low and menacing. But she stood her ground. "He deserves respect, just like anyone else in this diner," she exclaimed, the fire in her words igniting hope among the crowd. Hands clenched into fists, heads nodded in silent support. For Maya, this was no longer about just one man, this was about their shared values, about the community united against systemic racism. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the tension peaked, Maya felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. What if this moment didn't just change the night, but altered the course of Brookfield? Could she inspire others to stand up just as fiercely? The realization overwhelmed her. Maybe this wasn't simply about confronting one officer, it was about awakening courage in others. People began rising from their tables, their loyalty to Maya igniting like a bonfire. "We stand with Henry," a voice echoed, and soon it became a chorus. Maya felt tears sting her eyes. She had never felt more alive, more connected to her community than in that moment. Officer Thompson's expression darkened, but with those around her, Maya felt invincible. All that she had worked for, her diner, her son, her sense of belonging was on the line, but she would fight for justice. As the diner closed that night, the echo of solidarity lingered, yet uncertainty gnawed at her mind. Had she sparked real change? Could her voice truly resonate beyond this diner's walls? The challenges ahead loomed large, but Maya stood ready at the brink of a transformation, her heart racing for whatever came next. The following day, the sun rose with a golden glow, yet Maya felt the weight of yesterday's confrontation heavy on her chest. The morning rush began as usual at the heart of Brookfield, but whispers encircled her like a dense fog. Regulars tried to gauge her mood, their glances filled with admiration and uncertainty. "Did you hear what they're saying about the officer?" whispered Lila, a waitress who had started a week before. Her voice was barely audible over the clanging dishes. Maya nodded slowly, feeling the sting of concern in the air. The story had spread. The town was buzzing, and not all of it was supportive. As the usual customers poured in, Maya put on a brave face. She filled coffee cups, exchanged smiles, and welcomed chats, her heart racing at the thought of those who might voice disagreement. But when she caught sight of the old wall clock, its ticking seemed louder each minute, reminding her of the pressure building. Officer Thompson's presence cast a long shadow over the diner, and if he returned, there would be no avoiding it that as she served a steaming plate of pancakes to Mrs. Andrews, a regular grandma figure. The old woman caught Maya's eye with wrinkled concern. "You're brave, dear. Just remember, sometimes it's the quiet fight that wins," Mrs. Andrews said softly. "Thanks, Mrs. A. But what if it costs me everything?" Maya replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The words hung heavy in the mix of laughter and clanking plates. After the breakfast crowd trickled out, Maya took a breath, trying to find a moment to collect her thoughts. The diner felt too small for the big things swirling in her mind. Could she really lead a charge for change, or would it ruin the life she had built? Each question felt like a tiny explosion inside her. That evening, she stood behind the counter and caught Jamie's eye as he doodled on a napkin. The innocence in his smile grounded her. He looked up, searching for reassurance. "Are we okay, Mom? Will the mean cop come back?" He held the napkin with crayon sketches of superheroes, each one a caped figure ready for battle. Maya knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around him. "We're okay, buddy. But sometimes being a hero means standing up, even when it's scary." Jamie nodded, but she could see the worry lurking in his eyes. It hit her hard. She was shaping his world, making choices that could define his understanding of justice and bravery. The diner door swung open suddenly, and in walked Officer Thompson, face unreadable. The room went silent as eyes turned to him. Instinctively, Maya took a step forward. This was the moment. "Officer Thompson," she said, her voice steady. "We need to talk." Sweat beaded on her forehead as she braced for his response. She didn't know how he would react, especially with all eyes on them. The diner felt trapped in that moment, suspended between fear and hope. That he cracked a smile, and it confused her. "You think you can bully me in my own town?" Maya's heart skipped. The tension crackled like static electricity. "No, but I'm hoping you'll see the bigger picture. We need more than just orders, we need respect." The patrons began murmuring softly, their unity reverberating in the tight space. Officer Thompson's smile faltered as he looked around, the strength of the moment settling upon him. Yet a defensive glint in his eyes told Maya this battle was far from over. As he opened his mouth, she held her breath, realizing the depth of this confrontation. Had she just ignited a fuse that would lead to change, or was she pushing him further into his defenses? The diner watched with bated breath, and in that charged silence, a new chapter awaited. What would happen next? Would this be the beginning of genuine dialogue, or the start of an even bigger conflict? Maya's heart raced as Officer Thompson opened his mouth, the weight of his silence hanging heavier than before. "Respect?" he finally said, his tone laced with mockery. "What do you know about respect, Maya? Respect is earned, not given." A hushed gasp passed through the diner, a mix of disbelief and anger. The community had rallied behind her, and this was the moment they had been waiting for. It was now or never. "Exactly." Maya shot back, her voice steady, even as her insides churned. "And you've spent too long demanding respect without giving it back. This isn't just about you or me, this is about everyone in Brookfield. We're tired of feeling marginalized because of your rules that stifle us. Isn't it time to change?" His eyes narrowed, and the smiles on her customers' faces faltered. She could see it, the glimmer of defiance in him, but also a flicker of something else. Was it uncertainty? "Stay in your lane, Maya. You're just a diner owner. What do you know about law enforcement?" His voice held authority, but the words felt hollow. Some patrons shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others leaned forward, drawn into the tension boiling between them. "I know enough," she replied, her voice rising slightly. "I know that people shouldn't live in fear of those who are supposed to protect them. I know that respect is mutual, and that's been missing." The murmurs in the diner grew louder, a swell of support washing over her like a wave. Jamie clutched his napkin tightly, his crayons smudging slightly as he captured the moment with bright strokes. Maya glanced at him, and his eyes sparkled with a hint of hope. Look around you. She continued, gesturing at her customers, her friends, her community. This isn't just about you. It's about us, about making Brookfield a better place. If you care about this town even a fraction of what I do, you need to listen. We can't stay silent anymore. Officer Thompson's expression shifted slightly, masking irritation behind a veil of surprise. That subtle flicker caught her eye. Was it doubt creeping into his armor? Would he really consider her words? Suddenly, he took a step toward her, his chest puffed with the weight of his authority. You think your little speech matters? You really think you can just change things overnight? His voice thundered, but Maya stood her ground. Maybe not overnight, but change can start in surprising ways. People feel empowered. They feel seen. And when that happens, that's when real change occurs. She remained firm, a rush of adrenaline propelling her. The resistance in Thompson's gaze wavered, and for the first time, the clamor of the diner faded away, leaving just the two of them in this charged standoff. She could feel the town watching, hearts held collectively in the balance. Just as it seemed a breakthrough might happen, the diner doors flew open again, a gust of cold air rushing in. A young boy rushed in, shouting, "Mom! It's happening!" Maya's stomach twisted. What was happening? Had her moment of courage ignited something beyond the diner, something larger? The boy's eyes were wide with excitement. They're at the park. They're protesting. Maya's heart skipped a beat as she connected the dots. This was bigger than her. Bigger than them. The words fell from her lips before she realized. We need to go. We have to join them. And with that, the diner erupted into a flurry of movement. The stakes had just risen, and her fight for change had found a new, unexpected ally. Would they make their voices heard in time, or would fear continue to silence them? Maya led the charge as the customers of the diner sprang into action. The clinking of silverware and the murmurs of disbelief transformed into a chant of unity, their voices harmonizing against the backdrop of uncertainty. We're coming! They shouted, determination lighting their faces. Jamie held tight to Maya's hand, his little fingers trembling with a mix of excitement and fear. Mom, can we really change things? He looked up at her, a question sweet and earnest in his innocent eyes. Maya knelt to his level, her gaze steady. We can try, Jamie. We have to try. She felt an urgency that swirled in her chest, an echo of every painful story she had heard from the people who walked through her diner doors. Today was not just about her, it was about everyone who had ever felt small or silenced. As they poured out of the diner, the cool air hit them like a rush, invigorating and sharp. The streets of Brookfield seemed to vibrate with potential, each step carrying them closer to the park where the protest was taking shape. Loud, passionate voices filled the air, rallying together for a cause that transcended any one individual. Signs were raised high, proclaiming demands for justice, equality, and respect. Maya felt a swell of pride in the faces around her. Her neighbors, her friends, this was the heartbeat of the community, and it was alive and thriving. Soon they reached the park, where hundreds of people stood shoulder to shoulder. The weight of their shared passions enveloped Maya like a warm embrace. She turned to observe Officer Thompson, who had followed them, his face a mask of skepticism. But now, surrounded by this collective power, it seemed his own doubts began to crack. Look at this! An elderly woman shouted, her voice raising over the crowd. This is what love looks like. This is what strength looks like. Cheers erupted, echoing through the air. It wasn't just noise, it was a declaration of resolve. Maya felt Jamie's hand tighten around hers, grounding her amidst the chaos. Let us show them. A voice cried from the front, and another wave of energy surged through the crowd. We matter. The words resonated, igniting a fire inside her. She stepped forward, buoyed by the energy radiating from the gathering. There was a mic. A chance to uplift their voices for everyone who had felt unheard, for Jamie and the future he deserved. "Can I?" she asked those around her, fear and excitement mingling. They nodded, pushing her gently toward the front. Before she could second-guess herself, she grasped the mic. The noise around settled into an expectant hush. Looking out at the crowd, she saw a sea of faces, filled with hope and grit, and felt their energy pulse through her as she cleared her throat. "Brookfield!" she shouted, her voice cracking but firm. "We deserve to be seen. To be respected." Cheers erupted again, stronger this time, mingling with the rustle of protest signs. In that moment, amid the fervor, Maya transformed from a diner owner to something unprecedented, a powerful voice against injustice. Every doubt she had felt over the past months melted away. If fear kept them silent, then unity would make them roar, but just as the tide of change seemed to crest, a shadow approached a line of officers, led by none other than Officer Thompson, now armed with a crowd of his own people. Maya's heart sank. Would they listen, or would they push back against the spirit of change? "Everyone stay calm," an officer said, but tension rippled through the crowd. Maya's pulse raced as she stepped forward, ready to face the opposition, ready to make this point loud and clear. What she didn't expect was the sudden rise of doubt in her heart. Would this moment make or break them? Maya's heart thundered in her chest as she locked eyes with Officer Thompson. She could feel the weight of the crowd behind her, eager for change but trembling with uncertainty. Would they back her, or would this unity crumble under the pressure of authority? "Officer Thompson," she called out, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We're here for justice, and we're not backing down." The air turned heavy with silent anticipation. The officer frowned, the tension etched into his features. "Maya, this isn't the way," he replied, his voice strained. "You don't understand the risks." Maya's resolve intensified. "No, officer. I think you don't understand. We've lived with risks for too long. We're tired of being ignored. Today we're standing up together." As she spoke, she could see recognition flicker across his face. Could he hear her? The faces of the crowd were a tapestry of determination, young, old, stricken and full of hope. Maya felt the warmth of Jamie's small hand in hers, grounding her even as the fear danced in her stomach. Suddenly, the crowd erupted, chanting, "Maya! Maya! Maya!" The sound surged like a wave, crashing against the walls of doubt. It filled the space between her and the officers, a united front against the very fear that had kept them quiet for too long. Maya stepped closer, emboldened by the voices of her neighbors. "We want a community where our children can play without fear. Where every person is treated with respect. Isn't that what we all want?" A murmur traveled through the crowd. Some people nodded vigorously, while others exchanged looks of apprehension mixed with hope. Officer Thompson shifted, his posture softening as if he was reconsidering his stance. "I understand," he said slowly, "but we need to address this peacefully. You can't provoke them." Maya glanced over her shoulder, feeling the collective heartbeat of the crowd behind her. "You want peaceful? Let us show them what peaceful looks like." With that, she pointed to the signs raised high. "Look around us. We are peace. We are unity. No more division." The roar of agreement echoed back. It was like a call to the very essence of Brookfield, a place that stretched from one end to the other with stories buried in its roots. She wasn't just leading the charge, she was igniting a much deeper conversation. Just then, Jamie pulled at her sleeve. "Mom, will they listen?" His voice was a soft, vulnerable echo of concern. Maya knelt down again, looking into her son's trusting eyes. "If we're brave enough to speak, Jamie, they have to listen. They just have to." As she stood back up, the world around them erupted into a chant, a symphony of voices united. Officer Thompson's expression flickered, uncertainty battling against the resolve he had worn just moments before. "Maya," he began once more, but she was ready. She felt the spark of something not only inside her but within everyone around her. It's not just about me, or even you, officer. It's about all of us, the pain we've felt, the fear we've lived with. Are you with us? For a moment, it seemed time stood still. The air crackled with tension and possibility. Then, he took a deep breath and stepped back. In that instant, a wave of hope washed over the crowd. Maya realized it wasn't just about persuading Officer Thompson, it was about the courage they were all mustering together. Could they truly move from mere words to a tangible change? But as the cheers washed over her, another officer moved forward, crossing the red line that Officer Thompson hesitated at. His face was set, his intentions unclear. Maya's heart raced again, the clarity of their moment teetering on the edge. Would they hold their ground, or would fear engulf them all? Maya felt the air shimmer with tension, a collective breath held tight. The second officer stepped closer, his dark uniform contrasting sharply against the bright colors of the protest signs. A low murmur rolled through the crowd as uncertainty began to seep into the initial excitement. "Stay calm," she whispered to Jamie, squeezing his hand tighter, grounding them both. "This is still our moment." The second officer, taller and solid as a brick wall, locked eyes with Maya. There was something intimidating about his gaze, a flicker of disdain that sent a chill down her spine. But deep down, she felt a fire stirring. This wasn't just about defying him, it was about standing for everything they had fought for. "Maya," Officer Thompson called again, but she ignored him. She had to channel her focus. "Everyone listen," she shouted, her voice echoing over the rising noise. "We're not going to be intimidated. We're here for change, not to back down." The crowd surged in response, voices swelling like a tide, embracing her words. A few people stepped closer, drawing strength from each other. Maya could see her neighbors, those she had shared stories and struggles with, pushing back their fears side by side. The second officer's lips tightened. "This is not a game. You're pushing too far. Don't you get it?" Maya shot back, her heart racing. "There are lives at stake here. This isn't a game for us, it's our reality." The words dripped with raw honesty, striking a chord deep within the crowd. People began to nod again. Hope sparked, igniting a rhythm of solidarity. Each chant felt like a heartbeat, thud, 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 growing stronger, louder. Officer Thompson stepped forward, glancing at his fellow officer. "Let us talk this over," he urged, an edge of anxiety creeping into his voice. She could see the conflict in his eyes, the desire to do the right thing warring with the pressures of his badge. But the second officer scoffed. "They need to disperse, this doesn't end well," he insisted, his tone gruff. Maya felt a wave of anger rise within her. She had never been one to back down, and here she was facing a wall of resistance, but more incredible was the energy of the crowd behind her. "Officer!" she called again, her voice trembling with determination. "This is your chance to stand with your community." "What community?" he spat, eyes flashing. "You think they care? All they want is chaos." Maya's heart sank for a moment, but then she looked at Jamie, who stood there, eyes wide, trusting. His faith in her ignited her own. "They care," she insisted, voice unwavering, "because we are the community. We're tired and scared, but we won't live in fear anymore. We're here for our children, our families. This is about their future." The crowd began to chant again, "For our future. For our future." A profound silence followed, the tension hanging in the air like static. Officer Thompson looked back at Maya, then at his partner. For a fleeting second, there was a glimpse of understanding in his eyes, a desire to break free from the expectations of his role. But then the second officer moved forward, raising a hand. "Enough!" he shouted, signaling for the enforcement measures to escalate. Maya's heart plummeted, the moment shifting once more, hope trembling dangerously on the edge again. "Stand your ground!" she roared, urging her neighbors to hold fast, joining their voices into a singular, unyielding chorus. Would they truly dare confront the storm that loomed ahead? As police radios crackled to life behind them, a growing wave of uncertainty surfaced. Would they find courage in numbers, or would this push for justice draw out the worst? Maya braced herself, standing strong as the world stood still for just a heartbeat. What would break first, their resolve or the wall of fear? Maya's pulse raced as the second officer moved closer, the heavy weight of his presence pressing down on her. She didn't dare look away, forcing herself to meet his furious eyes. "You don't scare us," she said, her voice loud and steady, slicing through the thick tension in the air. The crowd took up her words, echoing them like a protective shield. Behind her, Jamie squeezed her hand again, grounding her as she felt the adrenaline surging through her veins. The chants had become a rhythmic heartbeat, a pulsing demand for change that reverberated not only in the air but in hearts and minds. She could see faces of friends and strangers alike, the familiar spark of determination lighting their eyes. A communal spirit forged in adversity. Then, something shifted. Into the heavy silence, a new voice emerged, a tremor at first, almost uncertain, but then gaining strength. "We just want to be heard." A middle-aged woman stepped forward, her face etched with lines of worry and years of struggle. "That's all we're asking for." The words hung in the air, raw and potent. A ripple of agreement swept through the crowd. Officer Thompson glanced around nervously, sweat glistening on his brow. Caught in the tug-of-war between duty and morality, he visibly faltered. Maya saw this. She saw a man caught in a storm of his own making. "Officer Thompson," she called out gently, softening her tone, "you can still be a part of this. Speak up." Her words resonated with him, and for the first time, his expression shifted. He looked at her, then at the sea of faces behind her. She could read the thoughts racing in his mind, the struggle between what he should do and what was right. "Stand down," the second officer barked, urgency seeping into his voice as he glared at his partner. "You're making a mistake, Thompson." But the spell of conviction had grabbed hold of the crowd. "We are human." A young man shouted over the clamor. "Not just numbers or statistics. Listen to us. We matter." Maya's heart swelled. It was like a dam breaking, voices broke free, amplifying one another until they melded into one resonant cry. Each call for change was like a hammer striking against the barriers in place. She watched hope fill the eyes around her, each person offering courage to the next. Mirrored reflections of their shared struggles and dreams, the second officer's face clouded with anger and disbelief. He stepped back, looking at Thompson, who seemed torn. "You can't be serious," the second officer scoffed, barely containing his fury. "We're trained to keep order, not to listen to this riot." "No," Thompson said, the conviction in his voice surprising everyone, including himself. "This is not a riot, it's a movement. And people deserve to be heard. You can't stop the truth." The crowd erupted, wildfire spreading through their ranks, an unstoppable wave of energy. Maya felt her heart soar. Was there hope for them yet? This wasn't about her anymore, it was about all of them standing together, united in purpose. As the din of cheers echoed around her, she caught sight of Jamie smiling. Tears brimmed in his eyes, blending joy with relief. They were a force, not just a crowd, but then a sudden noise shattered the moment equipped officers arrived, taking position behind the second officer. The atmosphere instantly thickened with a new wave of unease. Maya felt a hard lump in her throat. "Don't!" she shouted, her heart pounding, fighting to keep the tide of fear at bay. "Please, we're here for peace." The second officer raised his weapon slightly, a light glinting ominously off its surface. "You think you can defy orders? This ends now." Maya locked onto his gaze, determined. "Not now. Not today. This is our stand." The crowd murmured, fear mingling with defiance. What would happen next? Would they fight or flee? In that tense moment, as silence fell heavy and thick once more, Maya took a deep breath. Would they face this together, or would she see their spirit crushed? Who would ultimately control the fate of this moment, the officers or the people? With all eyes on her, Maya held her ground, ready to do whatever it took. Could she turn this confrontation into a victory, or would it all unravel before her? Maya stood her ground, the crowd's energy surging around her like an electric current. Expressions of fear and resolve mingled in the faces that surrounded her. She could feel the weight of their hopes resting heavily on her shoulders. "Remember why we're here," she implored, her voice strong despite the uncertainty. "This is about change. About fairness. We deserve to be seen." The second officer's hand twitched around his weapon, but Maya refused to back down. "If you fire that weapon, you'll only prove our point. You will only feed the injustice that has held our communities hostage for too long." The tension snapped, pulsing like a live wire. Moments stretched as every heartbeat echoed like a drum. The young man who had shouted earlier stepped closer, raising a sign high that read, "Enough is enough." His face glistened with determination, a reflection of the collective spirit around him. "Do you hear us now?" Another voice shouted, this time from a woman with vibrant blue hair. "We're not going anywhere until we are heard." The officers shifted uneasily, the crowd's confidence rebuilding with each proclamation. Maya caught sight of Officer Thompson again, his eyes darted between his partner and the rallying crowd. He was caught between his duty and the undeniable truth right in front of him. "Thompson!" Maya shouted, drawing him in with her gaze. "You have the power to change this. You have a choice." His chin lifted slightly, towing the line between restraint and rebellion. The second officer barked orders at the new arrivals, thrusting his body forward as if to shield Thompson. "Stand down. We're trained to maintain order." But it was too late. The crowd was awakening into a singular movement, a wave of voices lifting higher, like a tide determined to wash over the shores of injustice. They were on fire with collective spirit, each voice amplifying the next, creating a cacophony of truth. "This is our time," they roared. "We are more than just numbers." Maya took a step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. The second officer's brow furrowed, and in that moment of confrontation, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Would he fire? What would happen if he did? "Look around you," she cried. "These are our friends, our family. We aren't faceless threats, we're real, and we're done being silenced." The atmosphere thickened with potential, she sensed Thompson's struggle intensifying. The light reflecting off the second officer's weapon caught her eye, a dark omen in a sea of hope. But what if she could help him see the truth? What if they could turn that weapon against the real enemy, the silence, the fear? In a moment of clarity, she stepped closer to Officer Thompson. "Join us. You said it yourself, this is a movement. Help us make it what it should be, a force for good." The second officer turned sharply to Thompson, confusion lacing his frustration. He barked an order. "Stand down, Thompson." Faced with both sides, Thompson's jaw clenched, torn but no longer passive. The crowd watched, breaths held collectively, hearts racing in anticipation of what would happen next. Would he defy the orders or retreat back into compliance? Maya's mind raced with possibilities. If they stood united, could they shift the narrative? Could they bring about real change on this very street? Determined, she took one more steady breath, preparing for the next words that could tip the scale. "Together, we can change this moment or let it define us forever." But just then, sirens blared in the distance, echoing ominously down the street, threatening to shatter their fragile unity. What would that next wave bring? Would reinforcements escalate the situation? Or would Thompson take a stand that would ripple through their fight for justice? The blare of the sirens drew closer, mixing dread with the relentless surge of hope that coursed through the crowd. Maya's heart thundered in sync with the rising tension, each pulse a reminder of what was at stake. The anxiety around her was palpable, like a heavy fog that tinged the optimism with uncertainty. Officer Thompson's gaze flickered between Maya and his partner, the exasperation on his face evident. The second officer loomed, anger rippling through him at the crack in their command. The crowd continued to rally, their chants becoming a symphony of resolve. "We are here to stay," echoed a chorus, pushing against the wall of authority. Maya could feel the energy thrumming beneath her feet, a fierce pulse of raw determination. "Thompson!" she urged again, stepping closer, vulnerability in her eyes. "You can't let fear control you. We all want the same thing: peace, justice, safety. Stand with us." The moment hung suspended in the air, thick with anticipation. The sirens drew near, a harsh reminder of the chaos that threatened to erupt. Thompson's expression softened, and for a fleeting second, it seemed like a bridge had been built between their worlds. Maya caught a glimpse of conflict behind his brow, the weight of his badge pressing down on his conscience. "Do you believe in what you stand for?" Maya asked, her voice steady despite the uproar. "This is your chance to show that you're a different kind of officer. Help us rewrite this story." Just then, the reinforcements arrived, blue and red lights flashing ominously against the evening sky. Officers piled out of vehicles, their uniforms crisp and imposing. The fear in the crowd surged like a tidal wave, but Maya took a deep breath, determined to hold her ground. A rush of officers moved in, shoving against the edges of the crowd to restore order. The second officer barked an order loudly: "Back away. Clear the area." But the crowd remained defiant, their collective power refusing to be diminished. Maya turned, her expression fierce. "This isn't a threat. This is a movement. We will not back down." The reality of their situation crashed down on Thompson, the division clear. He felt the suffocating pressure of his duty colliding with the undeniable pulse of justice radiating from the crowd. The sight of those faces, wrinkled with determination and hope, began to chip away at his resolve. "Are you really going to listen to orders that go against your own conscience?" Maya pressed, raising her voice above the chaos. He felt that every question she asked burrowed deep into the core of who he was. Realizing he'd been a cog in a machine that often silenced voices instead of amplifying them, Thompson's heart began to beat a new rhythm. The second officer noticed their exchange, his posture tense, readying himself to intervene. But before he could, Thompson stepped forward, raising his hands to signal the crowd to remain calm. I can't just follow orders anymore," he stammered, a new conviction flickering in his eyes. The unfolding scene felt almost surreal. Maya's heart raced as she watched him stand there, caught between two worlds. Could he truly take that step into the light? "Together, then," Maya proclaimed, a whisper of disbelief and joy threading through her voice. As the sirens wailed louder, signaling more chaos, Thompson faced the second officer, a newfound fire igniting within him. "We have to listen. They deserve to be heard." Suddenly, a loud hurl of a sign struck the pavement nearby, a stark reminder of the palpable tension in the air. Would the anger pendulum swing back in violence, or would this moment be the catalyst for change they all craved? Maya held her breath. Hope and dread twined together as the next chapter of their fight loomed ominously. Would she finally break through the walls of police protection, or would darkness swallow their light? The blaring sirens filled the air, reverberating through the tension, but something shifted in Officer Thompson's expression. He stepped between the rebel crowd and his fellow officer, an unexpected hero emerging against the backdrop of chaos. "No," he shouted, his voice cutting through the thick anticipation. "They're right. We need to listen." Maya felt her heart leap. Hope ignited in the crowd around her. Their chants swelled, a wave of unity breaking against the rigid structures of authority. "We matter," they declared, and the sound ricocheted off the park's trees, echoing into the hearts of everyone present. Thompson stood firm, challenging his partner, his voice trembling with the weight of newfound conviction. "We can't just enforce the law, we have to understand it. We have to be part of the community." Maya could sense the undercurrents of fear and hope mingling in the crowd. It was palpable, like the quiet before a storm. The second officer's face twisted in disbelief. "You're making a mistake, Thompson," This isn't how we do things. But the words faltered, falling away against the tide of voices that rose up around them. Yes, it is. Maya called out, stepping forward with her chin high, emboldened by the chorus of support. This is how we change Brookfield. Officer Thompson, you can be part of that change. Don't hide behind authority anymore. Her words hung in the air, raw and earnest, and for the first time, she saw the cracks in the second officer's armor. The crowd roared, pushing forward, swelling with renewed strength. Thompson! 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 They chanted, the beat of their voices like war drums, resonating hope into the thickening twilight. His gaze darted across the sea of faces, each filled with determination, fear, and a longing for justice. The weight of their collective pain began to push against his conscience. He reached deep down, grappling with the choice laid out before him. All right. Thompson said, the tension etched into his brow softening. I'll talk. But we have to do this peacefully. A wave of relief surged through the crowd, igniting sparkles of joy and gratitude in people's eyes. Maya took a step closer, her heart pounding. Thank you, officer. This is a step forward. Change can't happen without understanding. She saw the flicker of doubt in his partner's eyes but chose to remain steadfast. The second officer shifted, clearly torn between compliance and the hope burgeoning around him. You can't be serious, Thompson. He sputtered but found no support from his comrades, whose faces held a mix of bewilderment and curiosity. Let's just listen, Thompson replied, a newfound authority weaving into his voice. People are hurting. We can't ignore that, not anymore. He turned to the crowd, a tentative but clear tone in his voice. What do you need? Speak up. At that moment, a woman from the crowd stepped forward, her voice shaky but filled with conviction. We want accountability. We want to feel safe in our town. We want to build a community where fear doesn't overshadow our lives. The crowd erupted into agreement, every word resonating deeply with their shared struggle. Maya felt tears prick at her eyes, overwhelmed by the collective spirit rising among them. She knew this was at the beginning of real transformation. This was not just about her anymore, it was about all of them reclaiming their sense of home. Please, look around, Maya implored, her voice strong yet tender. We are neighbors, families, friends. We just want to work together to make Brookfield a better place. Let us communicate. Let us create solutions. Officer Thompson nodded slowly, a shadow of acceptance creeping over his features. The second officer stood behind him, still unmoved but uncertain in the face of their unity. An elder in the crowd raised a sign that said, Together we rise, and slowly, others joined in, displaying the hope that had built since the night Maya stood up for Henry. The atmosphere transformed from a charged battlefield to a hopeful ground for conversation. Will you meet with us? Another voice called out. Will you talk to the community? The question hung in the air, a clarion call to solidify the bridge being built. I will, Thompson declared, his voice steady, a pact forged in vulnerability. Let us start a dialogue. Let us hear each other. The crowd erupted in a chorus of cheers, relief washing over them like a summer rain. As excitement filled the air, Maya met Jamie's wide, gleeful eyes. His smile illuminated her heart. She knelt down, wrapping him in her arms. We did it, buddy. Change is happening. Tears of joy streamed down her face, and Jamie squeezed her tightly. Standing back up, she looked out at her community, realization dawning. They were no longer just a diner, they were a movement. Grounded, rooted, unyielding. As night fell, the park glimmered with signs of hope, voices intertwined, hearts beating in unison. They would not let the moment slip away. Brookfield was on the brink of becoming something magnificent, and they were ready to jump in. Together, each face glowed, carrying a new sense of purpose. A path forward had been illuminated, leading from the struggles of the past towards a community built on respect and shared dreams. There was still much to do, but today had begun a movement of change that couldn't be easily silenced. Maya looked up at the shining stars, feeling the weight lifted off her shoulders. They had come too far to stop now. Together we will make Brookfield a place where safety, unity, and love flourish. This is just the beginning. The chorus from the crowd echoed back, filling her with warmth. Yes. 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 And in that moment, Maya knew they had sparked a flame that could light the way ahead, and together they would fan it until it roared. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this powerful community. Comment below and share your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let's remind the world what real change looks like.